Well, let's see what we can get through here. See if we can get this done right. Oh, man. In frame. All right. Good morning, everybody. Dr. Pearlman, Paramount Chiropractic and Wellness, back with another video. And a lot of what goes on in actually running a chiropractic practice that caters to the public, right? To society, not built on selling systems to other chiropractors, not built on seminars for other chiropractors, which is fine and great and dandy, but one that is really committed to serving people that are in need of chiropractic and that are in need of wellness and are in need of accessibility to their provider. And that is what I have really tried to do. And I hope to some level have succeeded to where I can refine it and be there in a capacity that is manageable, but not just manageable, what I should say is sustainable. Sustainability is something that, like in this practice, that I have set out to do. And how is that possible without burnout? What's interesting is I want to talk to everyone who's watching this video now about not burnout, but about productivity and how chiropractic helps with that. And it goes a little something like this. People who are in pain will do anything to get out of pain. And chiropractic, in terms of the maybe 12 to 20% of the population that regularly uses chiropractic, and I don't think it's 20%. I think it's probably more like 10 to 15%. That you look at when I say on a regular basis that chiropractic, maybe people will go once a month, twice a month to get adjusted, and most of it's for joint pain, back pain, neck pain. And the thing is, like I mentioned, people will do anything to get out of pain, because if you're in pain, it's keeping you from doing whatever the said thing is. What's interesting about prioritizing your health, meaning taking all of the components to stay out of pain, maintaining your lifestyle in such a manner that prioritizing the way you feel physically directly relates to how productive you can be in every other aspect of your life, whether it be for family, hobby, leisure time. You can intertwine all those three if you'd like, because let's face it, all of us have to go to some amount of a job. We're in some kind of an industry, and we want to be, I hope we strive to be the best at what we do there so we can earn the most amount of income. And then hopefully find some way to either save income or raise more capital to be able to build wealth so that one day we can retire, so that one day we can pass on things to the generations that come after us. And that is so directly linked to the message of chiropractic that it gets lost in the shuffle of when chiropractors, as an example, do advertisements or make funny TikToks. And I'm not picking on anybody here. So if you're watching my video, I'm not picking on you when you're saying like chiropractic is good for you, because I'm actually to the point where I won't even tell somebody something like why they should do something. I just say, come on in. This is a trial of care. Probably gonna give me a couple of weeks, especially if you've been in pain for a long amount of time. Like, you can't fix a 10-year problem in a week. Like, it just doesn't happen. It really is like not that simple. Even if you were to get surgery and remove an obstruction that's blocking your spinal cord and been the reason that you were in pain, and it was a surgical, and if you were or somebody was a surgical candidate, just the scar tissue alone and the risk of surgery and the complications that can arise from surgery, even if it's just a little nick of a nerve on the way in, could lead to months of pain radiating down the leg, though it will heal. This just, until you've been there in that situation, you couldn't really understand. So you'd have to have a deep amount of empathy or some experience with pain somewhere in your body to understand that even someone who tried to get the fix, there's complications and it takes time. Just like if somebody comes in, like I was telling you, with a 10-year degenerative problem causing symptomology that's gotten worse and worse and worse, and then they made it into a chiropractor, and you just can't fix it in a day, and you can't fix it in a week. And without getting too far down that rabbit hole, like I said, being productive, getting chiropractic care, and not selling people chiropractic, but actually just showing them how beneficial it could be. Say, look at the way that you're going to feel. How did you feel? Oh, I felt great for a couple of days, and then it doesn't matter that it came back. It really doesn't. That is sort of a frustrating reality that you have to eventually accept, given a certain age that you are, given a certain injury that you've had. With my back history, and this is the only time I'm talking about myself, but with my back history, I have to accept that I'm going to have good days and I'm going to have bad days. If I really take care of myself and I do the things I'm supposed to do, I can have a lot of good days in a row and be very, high functioning. And that's sort of the message, is like, I started this video talking about sustainability and growth and retirement, things we all want. Like, we want to be financially secure. We want to be hopefully also contributing to society, meaning like placing a positive value in like something we do within an industry we choose to master, and not be resentful about it. And the only way that can happen is if you feel good physically and you feel good emotionally. And those are two things that are directly correlated. I mean, so much so that they are not two separate things. I don't want to hear about how mental health is this and your physical health is this. They meet here. Now, are there people that have a genetic disposition or a predisposition towards something, in the mental health realm, and that's a real separate issue? Of course. I know that I just said kind of two things, like what are you on? No, but most of us, guys, we're not talking about minority. We're not talking about outliers. We're talking about the majority. Most of us who will watch this video know that, man, if I exercise and I eat good and I don't spend time, running to the bathroom, and I don't spend time feeling nauseous, and I don't spend time feeling sluggish, and I'm not sleeping in the afternoon because of my blood sugar and my insulin and all this stuff that we read about or we hear about or we watch podcasts on. If we feel really good because we're doing all the things to take care of ourselves, we will be more productive. I went to the chiropractor 2 days ago, and not even the relief in my back pain so much, but just that window of opportunity to start to move without feeling so tight, even though the leg pain was kind of still persistent. It's like I was in such a good mood. That like endorphin rush that you get from a good stimulatory chiropractic adjustment that makes you laugh, right? Laughter is medicine. That is the key sort of to understand with chiropractic sometimes. Don't think of it as fixing your back pain. That is so delusional, in the sense of, the majority of us at a certain age going to the chiropractor the most, you're using that natural avenue to make you feel better, which is the, bridging the gap, or it's sort of the gateway, if you will, towards that getting everything else done, feeling so much better. It's like every time you pop an Advil because of inflammation, you're the next Advil away from having kidney issues later in life. You're the next Advil away from having GI bleeding and ulcers. You're the next Advil away for it to start to have this like trickled, diminished return to where you become reliant on it. And it creates a lot of issues as you get older, as you continue to age and you continue to lose your cell resiliency. But if you go to the chiropractor, what I refer to as semi-regularly, especially somebody that you've seen, I can go 2, 3, 4 weeks without an adjustment. That's fantastic. And you're traveling, you're working, you're being productive elsewhere, make sure to go back in and get checked. Again, it's not about fix. It's not about I have to go all the time. How often do you take a blood pressure medication? How often do you take a cholesterol medication? P.S., check with your doctor, but cholesterol medication that you probably don't need. How often do you take vitamin D? How often are you, I could go on. How many days a week do you go to the gym to maintain and, build muscle? Why is somehow chiropractic or acupuncture or physical therapy or massage this like extra alternative luxury thing that you can't prioritize as a part of your health to make you a more productive, happy human. For those of us that have utilized chiropractic before in that way, that's the mindset that I hope, I forget what I want, forget what I think, forget my experience. I hope that when people are starting to see chiropractors, they're beginning to understand it is like that means as a gateway to do everything else better because of the nociception, aka pain inhibition, because of the endorphin pain modulating, stimulation, because of that sort of what's the word I want? It's like a cathartic feeling of release that once your spine has not that tension on, where it's guarding because you've had that back pain, because you've had that neck pain, because it's killing you in the shoulder. It's hurting so deep up behind the scapula. When you start to get those things taken care of, everything down to the plantar fasciitis on your feet, you can be so much more productive. And that is my message for today. That is what I hope that this video did for people, is get the mindset to think like, I like Tim Young. He's a chiropractor in Oklahoma, and I love his message. And one of his messages that he begins to say, and he's been practicing for a long time, he says, I don't care if the adjustment, made you feel better. He'll actually say things like, I don't care how you felt. I don't care how many times it took. If they're coming back saying, I did this better, if they're saying, I was able to do this, that is worth everything within itself, and the adjustment in which he delivered, they received, and it was accomplished. I'm beginning to see that more and more, especially with the people that understand that you can't fix a 10 or a 20-year problem in a week. And then when you begin to really just say, let me show you how this will work, and they realize that they were a little bit more productive, well, that compounding interest of a little more productive, a little more productive, a little more productive leads to a lot of productivity and reduced pain. And in my practice, what I see, especially with these lower back suffering people, all of a sudden they go months and years without their back going out. And that's from something where their back was out when they first saw me, or before that, 3 times a year they're having these big relapses and they're miserable and they're on all sorts of medication. That's a problem. So I've said enough. I hope this video makes sense. I hope it's something that brought value to you today. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time.